Simply Stogie's coverage of the 2024 PCA Trade Show is sponsored by My Old Kentucky Herf, May 11th. Call Fat Ass Cigar Lounge at 606-254-0484 to get your tickets.
4 new followers today, I think.
Hey everybody, welcome to our day one recap of the PCA 24 Trade Show live from My Old Kentucky Herf bunker here in Las Vegas, Nevada, or as we've come to know it this evening, Anchorage, Alaska. It's fucking
the igloo.
cold. Yeah. It's cold as balls in Vegas, which is better than it being hot as balls.
True.
I'm joined, of course, by co-host and friend Nicholas Sears, LH Cigars, and
Cold,
the igloo, and of course Tim, the face of Clear the Air, the secret sauce, according to Coop. He's in the media bunker. I'm sure he's just as cold as we are.
if he's outside.
If he's outside, yeah, he absolutely is.
I'm sitting right here. I'm outside.
We're not talking about you, man. We're talking about Coop.
Oh, Coop. Coop, where are you at?
Yeah, Coop. Where yeah, I've seen Brooks today. I saw Brooks. I saw Smoke and Tobacco.
Cigar?
How about that cigar? But I didn't see Coop anywhere. I didn't see the coalition
he's
out
too
and
busy.
about. So yeah, so we're having a good time. Obviously, last night we had some technical issues that carried over into today, which is why we did not have a live this morning. But I promise tomorrow, first thing, bright and early here, Vegas time, probably about 8:30, we'll have a live right before we head over to the trade show floor for day two. But I really want to talk about day one. There was a lot of good stuff today, guys, wasn't there? A lot of good stuff.
There was a lot of stuff.
I said a lot of good stuff, Tim. A lot of good stuff.
no,
there was good stuff. Yeah.
no.
It was all good.
So, Nick, this is always fun for me to kind of see you interact with your friends in the industry, people you've known for years. Who are you really excited to see today?
I guess the highlight for me of the day was the interview that we did with William Paley of La Palina. Because, I mean, the man's been around forever. What a long history.
Yeah.
He's so passionate about his brand. And if you know who William Paley is, he's the heir to the CBS, fortune or whatever you want to call it. I mean, the man, as he said himself today, he could be out sailing in a sailboat every day for the rest of his life, but yet he's here at the trade show, sitting in a booth like us mere mortals, and he that's passion. He really believes the connection that I have to him is the connection that anybody in this industry has, which is there is something magical about this leaf that binds us all together and brings us and has us talking about it and staying outside in cold weather and smoking.
Yeah, absolutely.
And no, it's a lot of fun. I'm glad I discovered this this industry, this business, this passion. William Paley, born into it. That was the highlight. I did see a lot of people again. Why do we come to this? The most important reason is to network and to see people that we see once a year. And the first day today was another great first day. Lots of new faces, lots of new booths, lots of new brands. So that was kind of interesting too.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of new stuff, a lot of new faces, a lot of new brands, like you said. Tim, what was the highlight for you now? Tim didn't do any interviews today. Tim was getting a lot of what we call B-roll.
I set one up
in the biz.
I've got an interview for tomorrow. I did a lot of B-roll today. Going to do a little bit more tomorrow.
And we got some surprises for you guys coming. Just if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it on the YouTube. I don't know if Rumble is if it supports it, but we've got something pretty cool for you guys coming down the pipe that you worked on a lot today. A lot. And you're not done.
No. We were talking about getting some food, and I'm like, guys, I got to edit some shit
I've got stuff to do, damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it was. I would agree. I think the highlight for me, Nick, was that conversation with Bill.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was a nice conversation, and he has agreed to not only talk more with us, but come on the show and spend an hour plus, and the history of his family, of the brand. One thing I learned today that I never knew, why La Palina, the name. And it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
William Paley is Paley, and his grandmother, they were calling her La Paley or La Palina, And I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's a cool name.
And the brand's been around forever. It's such a
1896.
great story. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good story.
It's a great story, and he resurrects it. He buys it back. He buys the trademarks back in the late '80s. He said,
Yeah.
and relaunched it in the '90s. And they're good cigars.
Yes.
I really like the white. I think the white's probably my favorite from La Palina, but they're all great. And I can't wait to get him on the podcast because I think it will be a fun conversation.
For all. Yeah.
Absolutely. Some folks that I got to see today. I got to catch up with Dan Thompson from McAuliffe and try the new McAuliffe Blue.
Yep.
Oh, $7, $8 cigar. Really good for the price point. I mean, it punches way above its price point. And in a day and age where cigars are $20, $30, $60,
$300,
$500 a cigar, to come out with a cigar in that price point that is so good. It's a San Andreas, or not a San Andreas, it's a Mexican Sumatra wrapper, which is, I didn't even know there was a Mexican Sumatra. I'm just so used to saying Mexican San Andreas.
Right.
But Mexican Sumatra wrapper. Yeah. And it's very good. It's very smooth. It has all the characteristics of a Sumatra wrapper. But yeah, I really shocked that it's at that price point. He gave us a scoop today, the red coming out in September. So they're going to come have another new cigar in September. So we're looking forward to that. That video will be up. Probably with the podcast on April 1st, so look for that. Got to sit down with Sebastian from Cavalier. Great conversation with him. It always is. Got to try one of his new cigars, and he gave us another one of the cigars, the new release. I haven't had a chance to try that yet. Got to talk with Enrique Sanchez from 1502, and that's what I'm smoking now. I'm smoking the Black Gold from 1502. Great cigar. They've got new packaging that is environmentally friendly, and it's just genius out of the box thinking when it comes to packaging. And Nick, you just started doing boxes, what, like 2 years ago? weren't they all in bundles, or you just redesigned your box?
I was always only in boxes, and then
now
decided
you're bundled. That's what it was.
That
I knew
for shipping purposes, for retailers that just like to refill boxes, the bundles make a lot of sense. But yes, I do have boxes. My LH line all have boxes. The Nick line has a simple box, but there's a box for a shelf.
If I would have thought about it, I would have had the little box that this comes in, and they're 4 or 5 together, and it's got the logo on it. So if somebody takes the two ends, the two in the middle still have the logo on it. And it's eye-catching, and you can fit more in a box.
It's cool. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to having Enrique on the show.
We need to have him.
Yeah,
he's an old-time friend.
We're going to have him. We're going to have Amanda McAuliffe and Al McAuliffe on the show. We're going to try to get Dan. I tried to get with Mickey Pegg from All Saints. Everyone's busy today.
It was a busy day.
The first day is generally the busiest. They're there for a reason, man, to write some business. And we are just kind of flies on the wall when we need to be. And, we did a lot of circling and waiting to find our moment of opportunity to be able to walk in there and chat with these folks. But we have a couple more days to do it, and we'll get a lot more content.
A lot more content coming your way. I really want to talk a little bit about, I know it's cold outside, and you guys are like, but I want to talk about the crowd. I want to talk about the size of the show. I think as far as floor plan goes, floor size, I think it's comparable to what we had, the PCA had at the Venetian Expo Center.
Maybe a little bit spread out a little bit more.
It was a little more
spacious, yeah.
But I feel like, and I know the PCA said that they, are going to, I'm sure they're going to come out and say we had a lot of people, we had a lot of people registered, we got a lot of badges. Didn't feel packed.
You know what? It seemed a little bit lighter than last year.
Yeah.
For sure, especially for the first day, which is usually the busiest. So it was a bit lighter. We were mentioning, the usual roar of a trade show was a lot lower decibel. So there was definitely less people. But talking to the people that we spoke to, they were pretty happy with the retailers that showed up. And, again, it's the first day. It'll be interesting to see what tomorrow brings.
Yeah, it will. Like, Tim, didn't it feel a little sparse to you as well, the crowd?
It did, and that also goes back to, and unfortunately we had technical difficulties last night. We attended the after party.
Yes.
And one of the things that we did, we'll get the B-roll up in some way, shape, or form, I promise, but we set up a time-lapse camera to kind of show the crowd. And of course, by the time we did that, it was a little bit late. So for the most part, everybody was in. So you didn't really get to see the crowd grow, but you could see that I think the space was bigger than last year. But I think it filled up about 60%.
I think the space
was very comparable, I thought.
I thought it was very comparable. I feel the setup, and that's a good point. I'm glad. Thank you for the segue.
Yeah.
The setup this year for the opening party was a lot better than last year's setup. Last year, if you guys remember, if you even give a shit, everyone was in line for like 2 hours to get their swag and all the giveaways and meet Guy Fieri, and it was a madhouse. It was absolutely crazy, and there were folks that were in line for over 3 hours at the end of the line. They didn't even get to participate in the opening party. So they didn't get any drinks. They didn't get to mingle. And this year with Crown Heads and EPC Carrillo fucking sponsoring it, they did a great job having bags ready. You got your bag as you walked in. And you were able to
you just
mingle
walked in, grabbed your bag, and you're right in the party.
Yeah,
so there was no line. There was no line. It was great.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it was great, but the crowd last night felt very
much
small.
lighter. Yes.
Yes. So I don't know what that says about the future of the PCA. Now look, next year, and I think even the year after.
I wouldn't go that far.
I
wouldn't go that far. I think what it says is, this was the first of its kind. In March, 9 months since the last one. A lot of retailers, some went to TP, didn't want to come to one that's a month later for one, even though I think that number is dwindling. I think the PCA has definitely recaptured that market from the feedback that we've heard.
About the TPE.
About TPE, we obviously didn't attend that, and it seems like from at least the exhibitors that I spoke to, they don't really plan on going back.
No.
It's turned more back into a non-premium cigar show, and they tried. It was a good effort, but PCA is up their game, and this was the experiment, moving it to March. I think once this becomes the established, month, I think you're going to see people come back. It's interesting. I'll know next year to bring a bigger coat, because when
you'll be next year.
Oh, that's right.
So
never mind.
I don't think you'll need a coat.
But coming to PCA, IPCPR, RTDA, whatever the version of it, it was always in July. June maybe sometime, but it was July. It was always warm, extremely warm.
Yeah, hot.
You were inside.
Yeah,
it was
you were in an oven.
It was hot. But most people, you were just saying you'd rather be cold than hot. I'm the opposite. I'd rather be like sweating than shivering. That's just me.
No, I get it.
For me, I don't like to be cold. But it's not cold. Let's
not
not go
cold.
crazy. It's not cold. We're not in the Antarctic.
No, it was 80
here.
degrees when we on Thursday, Friday. It was 80 degrees.
And here it's
nice.
probably what?
65.
60? Is it? You think it's only 60? Is 65?
I think it's like 64.
Is it?
Yeah.
But it would be nothing if it
If
wasn't for
the
the
sun,
wind.
if the
wind
sun was
out,
out, it would be
it'd be beautiful.
fine.
It'd
But
be
it's the wind.
It's the wind. It's a little windy. There's a wind advisory and whatnot. But talking about the crowds, Drew Estate's back. That's like the big story this year is that Drew Estate's back at the PCA for the first time in
Huge booth.
since
No.
That was a booth.
That was a much
That was huge to me.
But they were busy.
Oh,
They
yeah,
were
yeah, yeah.
slammed all day. Like we wanted to try to get with Willie Herrera or Jonathan Drew and
Just to get in there
madhouse.
to do B-roll was impossible because it was
Very
just
busy.
so tight, so
when
crowded.
Randy and I were at the McAuliffe booth, they were slammed.
Yeah.
I mean, which is good. I like to see.
Because that was more towards the back.
It was.
Usually the front, people usually attack the front, the big show, the big players. And, like Rocky Patel is a very large space, busy.
Fuente was busy. Padron was busy.
yeah.
The Som was busy. We went and saw Vlada Stoyanov, friend of the show. and he was busy. So everybody had people there, and we're going to try something a little bit different this year with the interviews. When you watch the podcast on April 1st, you'll probably see a lot of B-roll, a lot of people, just the booths and how busy it is, and you'll see the cigars, and we're going to try to kind of up the production value a little bit for you guys while you watch these interviews. But the interviews, I think, were all great. They were very gracious with their time, very generous with their time, and I appreciate
Especially
that.
day one.
Yeah, for day one, yeah, absolutely.
You know, getting any time with these people. And, you know, we were circling, like we said, and there's a lot of guys I didn't even want to approach because they, you know, you couldn't get a minute in there.
That's a good point, because normally for us on day one, it's hard to interview people, and at the end of the day, we actually got quite a bit accomplished for day one.
For day one, now look, like last year, I think we had, what, 60?
Total, yeah,
Total,
something
60
like that.
total at the end.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah,
We
for
probably
us.
won't hit
Yeah.
60 this year. We're being a little bit more judicious with where we're going and where we're spending our time to bring you guys the content that you want to see. And so we'd really appreciate some feedback from you guys, what you want to see, what you think of the content. You know, so let us know in the podcast when that releases April 1st. Let us know. I would appreciate that. I want to talk about the PCA very quickly because they have done a really good job. This year there's an app for the show.
Like they have in the past.
Was there one last year?
Yeah,
There was not one last year, but previous years.
Oh,
that
that's
app
right. It was on the website.
Great. It was great.
This
and I
is-
really
oh, yeah.
missed it last year, and now it's back.
It's back in it. It shows you where you're at on the trade show floor, so
Yeah.
they know. So they know where. It's like Disney World. When you go to Disney World and you're wearing their bands, they know right where you're at.
That was like the thing I was missing last year, and I was like, "Oh, where's the app?" And it's almost like they read my mind, man. This year they were back with it, and it was a nice tool to have on the floor.
And they've got the PCA Lounge is back. They've really done a really good job with the show this year. I really think. Now, my one, I wouldn't call it a complaint. My question is this, and we talked about this last year. When we went to the BCA booth, the Boutique Cigar Association, their pavilion, it was all the way in the back.
Yep.
And I remember talking with Dr. Gabby Caffey and with Armand from DAV, who's the president. He's kind of the face of the Boutique Cigar Association. You know, it would be nice if you guys were a little more front and center. They're like, oh yeah, next year. They're all the way in the back again.
Yeah, they are.
You know, and when I walk past some of these guys in that, I kind of feel bad.
Yeah.
Especially on day one, because that was the one place that seemed like it wasn't busy.
Well, you know, Armand was very positive about his placement. Said he was very happy. He likes the fact that the BCA is growing, and they're definitely going to be a permanent fixture of the PCA.
Good.
Having spoken to some of the members that were there, they weren't quite so cheerful about their placement because it was not in the dead back. There was another area slightly behind them, but it was for the most part in the back.
They got a lot of real estate too.
They do have a lot of real estate, and last year they were right by what was ostensibly a food court.
Yeah.
So everyone going for lunch would pass by the BCA. This year, the food court, it's not a food court. There's places all over. In fact, adjacent to the Castagli booth, there's like a Papa John's where you can get pizza. There's a couple of, it's just all kind of.
It was different.
It's
and the
different.
bathrooms on the second floor were a little bit different.
Yeah, that was weird.
And
That was like a horror movie.
So
Well, you had to go upstairs, down the hall, to the right, to the left. It was a little maze.
yeah.
But listen, we're nitpicking there.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it was available. It was there. The food, but you're right. For the people at the BCA and the people in the
There's
back,
nobody. There's nothing
no
that
reason
pushes
to go
exactly.
all
There
the way
was
to
a
the back.
food court back there, but there was only like 3 choices.
It's like, tucked in the back, and unless you know, like, that's what you really, really want.
Right.
There's not. It's not like last year where the whole
Everything was in the
herd,
back.
You
Yeah.
go and you pass through it.
I liked having the food options kind of spread throughout the trade floor.
Yeah.
I felt like there was definitely more options for food this year than there was last year.
So this is just initial gut reaction.
Yeah.
This is going to be purely speculative on all of our parts. But Nick, knowing that the trade show next year is in New Orleans, seeing kind of what the crowd is on day one this year. Do you expect a higher crowd next year because they're like, well, this is the last year in Vegas. It was just 9 months ago. Maybe we don't have to go. We'll just wait until 25.
If I had to guess, it's going to be the same as this year.
Really?
And the reason for, I could be wrong, but the reason is historically, the Vegas shows have always been
The most well-attended.
most well attentive. New Orleans has always been a dip. But this year, with all the plans and the changes and all the PCA is doing to make New Orleans be a nicer home for the PCA show, with Main Street, USA for the PCA, and some of these other really cool ideas.
And the tents that you can smoke outside and kind of network, and there's like a place to gather after the show is over. You just go out there.
Yeah, that's what's missing this year. Because the other years everybody kind of was around the Circle Bar and the other spots, the Venetian Bar or whatever that was called. Apparently some people tell me there are going to some of these other bars, but there's not that general gathering spot, so there's less interaction with the people at night, because that was also a big part of the show. Fun part for me was socially. On the floor, it's business. These people are there to do. They spend a lot of money for their booth. They're there to make money and to recoup. And the reason they're here. It's great to network. It's great to socialize, but let's not forget, business is the number one thing. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they can go to the bar, unwind a little bit, relax, and have those more personal conversations with the people that they wanted to see, but we're doing business during the day. And maybe they are. We're just the ones that are kind of not doing it.
We're missing it. That's 100% possible.
But that's okay.
Yeah. Tim, what do you think? Do you think New Orleans? Because
I hope you're right.
I'm looking forward to New Orleans.
I'm looking forward to New Orleans as well, and I hope you're right. But I can also see the logic that Nick puts into his prediction of what it's going to be. I really hope it's going to be good. I'm ready for a change.
I think it's going to be at least what it is this year.
Now.
Yeah,
that'll be all right.
Even though I don't know what the actual numbers are really going to come out at from PCA, but it's definitely a noticeable dip, at least what I've seen. Again, it's an opinion. There's no real proof of what I'm saying is true. Maybe there's more. We just didn't see it, because they're all in the bigger booths that we didn't go today because they were so busy. So maybe everybody was there and doing their business, and then tomorrow they'll be walking the aisle. So we could be wrong.
We could be wrong, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, even Toscano was busy when we walked by. We talked to Zev, and then we had Mike on, and we talked about his new. But that's the other thing that I wanted to bring up is everybody that we talked to has a new cigar, at least one new cigar. Toscano has the Italia, which Randy and I, you cut that in half. Mm-hmm. Great cigar. I really enjoyed that. The Somme, Connecticut, he's got that coming out, which is really good. I really enjoyed that cigar, and he gave one for all of us to enjoy later, so I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. But everybody seems to have something new, and for a 9-month turnaround, that's pretty good, because it's not like...
Well, it's not like they didn't know. The good news is, even though it's shorter, they had to act and get on it, and there was a lot of PCA-only releases from a lot of players.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't, I think everybody at least won something new. I don't think anybody, I could again. Most people had something new to show, to display. I think
everyone we talked to today had something new.
Everybody did.
Yeah.
But, it's what you got to do, man. That's people want to see new.
We have that is a conversation we've talked about, and that the industry's kind of backed itself into a corner with all of the new, and it's hard to support your core lines when you keep coming out with something new, right?
That's true. Yeah.
They've really kind of backed themselves in a corner, and we'll see if they're able to get themselves out of it. But the American market is so. We want the new.
What have you done for me lately?
Yeah, absolutely. And, but I still like going to the old standbys. It's always fun to have something new, but I do like the old standbys. But it's fun when I find something that I'm always going to keep that in the humidor.
Yeah.
I'm always going to keep that in the humidor. And look, you're no slouch when it comes to new stuff. You've got 2 new cigars, the Nicholas and the Sophos.
Yeah. I'm happy with both of those, and they were released this month, and I'm really happy with that. And but it took me, I have to tell you, it was years until I was doing new cigars. And my point was, the first 5 years, people, what do you got, anything new? And I'm like, no. I mean,
No.
I got cigars that people need to discover still. Like, why introduce new stuff when I don't think enough people know the old stuff?
Yeah.
And it really wasn't until I felt there was enough saturation with the core lines, with LH, and then I realized how important having, especially for the U.S. market, if you don't have anything new, they're like, okay, oh, it's the same stuff, all right. So there's no reason to revisit it. So now you even if you just launch one new cigar, one new item, they're like, oh, okay, you know what, we'll get the new one, and while we're getting this, let's just get some more of this.
Yeah.
So I get it, all right? I just was more of old school thinking, like, this is my core line. When people are smoking this, and people know this, and get, this becomes a more well-established line, that's when I felt. And it took me like a good 5 years before. The first 5 years, I did grow the line from like originally 3 SKUs per blend, and then it went to 5 and 7, but it was just adding vitolas. There was nothing really new, but some people consider that new too. I did, but then I started working on different blends. So I think it's important, more important for the U.S. market, but in general, people want new to find you. And again, there's so many different blends already out there, and if a new blend hits with somebody, they may be more apt to try some of the stuff that they never even thought of trying before. So I get it. This is what this industry is about. This is what this business is about, and it's not bad.
No.
I've gone with the program myself.
You have. And there's self-hosted, and I've got a bundle of each in there that I got from you, that I bought from you, and I can't wait to try them.
That's right. You haven't even tried them.
No, I want it on a clean palate. How many cigars have you smoked today?
I don't know.
A lot?
More than you want to admit.
Well, listen, if there's one place you're going to smoke a lot of cigars, it's here. From morning to night, what are we doing? Walking the floor, visiting different booths. I was trying to keep it down even, and I smoked more than I wanted to. But
No, absolutely.
what we do.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's enough for today.
Okay.
We'll be back tomorrow morning, 8:30 in the morning. I know Tim's going to get up and turn this off any second now.
And we'll roll out of bed.
We'll roll out of bed. We'll still be in our PJs, but we're going to come to you live tomorrow, 8:30 Pacific time, 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central. Have a lot of fun, guys. Until tomorrow, stay smoky, friends.
Simply Stogie's coverage of the 2024 PCA Trade Show is sponsored by My Old Kentucky Herf, May 11th. Call Fat Ass Cigar Lounge at 606-254-0484 to get your tickets.